Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is Saturday, October 12th, and we have had just about a first full week of NHL action. So, a lot to talk about there with the Boston Bruins. We also have ECHL action, preseason style, that started last night for the Maine Mariners, and all sorts of other fun things to talk about here from a hockey perspective. Hope everybody's having a lovely weekend out there. No snow yet up here, no ice. The only ice we have, of course, is in the rink, in the arenas, just exactly where it belongs, and that is just fine with me. Um, Going to talk a little bit about just the schedule coming up for some of these teams that we follow here, and go through kind of the weekend and what we have to look forward to next week. All sorts of fun hockey coming up. Starting today, matinee drop at the TD Garden for the Boston Bruins taking on the LA Kings. Should be a fun spirited affair there. Black and Gold's owner, Mark Alred, will be there, boots on the ground. He'll be covering the game for us, and so be watching out for his content. I'm sure he'll get some questions in there post game. Let's hope. Maine Mariners head down to Worcester tonight. Final preseason game for the Mariners down there with the Worcester Railers. 7 o'clock puck drop there for them. And then earlier this afternoon, the Maine Nordiques will be up in New Hampshire, taking on the New Hampshire Mountain Kings. That's a 4 p.m. drop there. If you're looking for them, they've had a really great start to their season. They're first in the East Division, 7-2-1, playing some really good hockey. I would say go check them out. Of course, they play at the Colisee in Lewiston. If you're local, looking for some good hockey to watch, a bunch of hungry young men out there working hard. So, good start for the Nordiques. Uh, Going up to Orno, the UMaine men playing Army. 2 o'clock start today, and the UMaine women will follow that up against Providence. Again, up in Orno, 7 p.m. drop there later tonight. Uh, Nothing really Sunday, kind of football day for everybody. So go enjoy some football. Or if you're not into football, maybe hang out with your family. That's always good too. Monday, we have another matinee for the Bruins against those pesky Florida Panthers. They come to town after being a very rude host last week. Truth be told, the Bruins played such a bad game that opener earlier this week was a hard watch. Uh, yeah, they lost 6-4, but we'll talk more about it. It could have been 16-4 the way they were playing. It was just awful. So at least I'll have a chance to answer right out of the gate. Don't have to wait around too long to give Florida another challenge. After that game, the Bruins have their first West Coast trip, starting at Colorado on Wednesday night. They'll be dropping the puck there at 9:30, so a little bit later start here for us East Coast folks. And then going to next Friday, very exciting. We have the home opener for the Maine Mariners, taking on the Wheeling Nailers. That will get started at 7:15. There'll be some, I believe, some festivities going on before that. So go check them out. There are still some limited seats available. Uh, I wouldn't wait around though. If you want to get tickets, go get them now. marinersofmaine.com. I get those locked in. Those I'm sure will go quick. I'll be there Friday night. Looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Also, next Friday night, the Maine Nordiques will head down to Maryland, taking on the Maryland Black Bears at 7:30 start for them. And then the UMaine women will be at BU Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. start there. And they also will play the BU on Saturday at 3. So a couple of games against the BU Terriers for the Lady Black Bears. And next weekend, the UMaine men will be taking on Quinnipiac uh, back here in Maine, up at Orno. 7 o'clock start on Friday and a 7:30 drop on Saturday night. So a lot to be watching for there. Also, next Saturday, you'll have the Boston Bruins making their first official trip to Utah to take on the Utah Hockey Club, 9 p.m. Can't wait for that one. Should be a fun one to watch. And then our Maine Mariners will be uh, another game, second game of the season for them against Wheeling once again. That'll be an earlier start, 6 p.m. drop. So that'll be a lot of fun. Go check out the Mariners at 6, and then everybody can get home in time to watch the Bruins take on Utah next Saturday night. So full day of hockey there. And then the Nordiques will have a second game there against Maryland, dropping that puck at 7:30 next Saturday. All sorts of fun hockey. Can't wait to consume as much of this as I can. Should be a lot of fun. And not to be forgotten, but the NCAA Division III seasons will be starting quite soon. We've got, of course, all sorts of really great D3 programs here in Maine. I'm going to do my very best to keep up with, hopefully, most of it as the season goes on, but should be fun to watch them as well. Going to talk a little bit first here about the Maine Mariners, and I do want to provide just a little bit of an update. Some of you know I also host the Mariners Hockey Report at the Cyclone Sports Podcast Network, and we have been a little delayed getting another episode out. I believe I'm 5 episodes in at this point. Um, just a little bit of a redesign that we're going through. Just trying to be compliant with the ECHL kind of graphic and logos and all that kind of stuff. So won't get into too much of it here, but it'd be an easy fix for us. But it's part of the reason we've been delayed over the last couple weeks and getting more content out. Um, and I didn't want to wait around for that to get done, so I am going to talk a little bit of Maine Mariners here, things I would typically talk about over on the Mariners Hockey Report. Um, but just wanted to give a quick update as to why we've been delayed over there and why there hasn't been any new content. I did put an article out yesterday at the blackandgoldhockey.com website, so you can go check that out, where I break down a little bit of what I've seen from practice and things of that nature. And we'll go over some of that right now. Was able to attend a couple of the open practices for the Mariners this week. Just want to say before we really dive into this, just a big thank you to um, media director Michael Keeley, and really the team of coaches have been so warm and welcoming to me. So we're all just kind of still getting to know each other. Mike has just been tremendous to work with, and um, kind of opened some doors for me to talk to some players and coaches this week. So couldn't be more thankful for just how welcoming they have been out of the gate. Top class all around, and thought it deserves certainly deserve to mention, of course. But what have we seen? Practice. I would say the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway that I heard from the players and heard from the coaches and saw on the ice was the compete level was very very high, and has been high throughout camp. To a player, to a coach, they all kind of said that same thing, and they use that word over and over again. The compete is high. The compete is high. When I talked to Coach Wallen, a couple of the comments he had was he was really excited about the pace they were playing at, their hunt, and again, he used that word compete. So I think that's a really good sign. This is a younger team. It's a lot of changeover from year to year, and a lot of guys that are very hungry to get that playing time. Nothing's guaranteed at the ECHL level, so uh, to see that level of compete out there and just sitting and watching practice, you could see it. A couple of the comments from Coach Wallen. We did make we talked a little bit about the roster changes and kind of said there were some things that they did kind of intentionally with this roster. Trying to build it a certain way. Um, that some changes were necessary. You're losing some great players, but sometimes that change can be a good thing. Can kind of mix it up a little bit, um, get some new energy in the building. Sometimes it's not a matter of the players that were here were bad or anything. They certainly weren't, but sometimes you just need that change. You see it in coaching all the time, where uh, just the message gets stale, or the play gets stale, or the motivation gets stale, and change can be good for everybody. So I do think that while we've lost some good players here for the Mariners, what you have coming in with some of these new guys, again, that hunger, that compete, very, very high, should be a lot of fun. Uh, the other piece to be watching for is on the defensive side. There's been a couple issues. Of course, we're waiting on, and I'm going to mispronounce his name, and I'm sorry, but Dadazanov, I think is how I pronounce it. one of the new signings for the Mariners, is still not in camp. Has had some travel issues that he's been working through, so hasn't arrived yet. They're really hoping that he will, he'll get here soon. So that's been a little bit of a trouble, but they did sign uh, Galley, and I don't have his first name in front of me, but they signed Galley to a PTO. He did play last night. Another big physical defenseman to at least have more bodies in camp. And there is a thought that most likely you're going to get some defensive help from the Providence Bruins as players continue to get reassigned and uh, they get all the seasons going here. I did also have the opportunity during the last couple days at camp to talk to forward Nick Germain, talk to Evan Verling, um, and also talk to forward Carter Johnson. So thank you to all three of those men for giving me a few minutes. I do have some video content of those interviews. I am going to hold off and put those out a little bit later back at the Black and Gold Productions YouTube channel. We have a media clips channel, and you'll be able to see all those interviews along with my interview with Coach Wallen um, here in just a bit. So go check that out. Of course, last night we did have the first preseason game for the Mariners up at Bowdoin College. So good crowd there. Good turnout. It's free admission, so easy to draw a crowd. But a lot of people showed up for it. It was good to see. The Mariners do end up winning that game, 4-3. Got close late. Um, I unfortunately was only able to stay for the first period. I had my little boy with me, and he did great. The first period, he was up and dancing and bounced off the chairs and had a great time. And then first period ended, he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go home, Dad." I'm like, I figured, you're only 4." He got through the first. I got 10 minutes down the highway, he was sound asleep, slept all night. So it was a good move for Dad to get him out of there. But he did have a good time. Looking at the lines that we saw, because this has kind of been a question through camp, how or what kind of lines are we going to see with the Mariners? And what you saw last night, the top line was Bierling with Pedersen and Gay as a top line, and they were uh, just really energetic, really fast. They did, of course, Bierling had a goal last night, looked really good at the dot. That's your first line. That's going to be a really exciting line. I think very creative line. Um, I think they're going to generate a lot of chances, and you saw that. You definitely saw that last night. Be curious to see what you see tonight down in Worcester. Second line, you had Hudson with Lampa and Kalmakoff. And again, another exciting line. You got two, I think, solid scoring lines on this team right now, right out of the gate. So that's really, really good to see. Third line of DeVoe, Sarlo, and Stockdale. Of course, Stockdale getting goal last night as well. I believe Sarlo did too. So, and then a fourth line of Ripplinger, Master, who's on a PTO, and Divine. So, yeah, so that's kind of what you saw. Be curious to see if Coach mixes those lines up tonight. I think those two top lines in particular, you're gonna see a lot out of those lines. And again, despite the fact you've had a lot of change to this team, you have a young team that's fast, and I do think there's going to be some good creativity offensively with this group. Defensive pairings, you saw Cameron with Christian Berger. You saw Galley, of course, on the PTO with Willits. And Willits had a real nice game for himself last night. And then you had Sheehy or Sheehy. Sorry if I mispronounced that with Horvath. And then Mayer was in net to start. Arvanitis finished it up. They both played about half the game. And just kind of a frustrating start, right? You feel bad for Nolan. 11 seconds in, off a face-off win, by the way. Veerling wins the face-off. And 11 seconds in, shot on net goes through, and it's already 1-0, Worcester right out of the gate. What I like, though, despite that, is that the team, I felt really, they didn't get rattled by that. They stayed composed. Nolan in net stayed composed. And, they gave They gave themselves a chance to kind of catch their breath. It didn't work them up too much, which was great to see. You did see some good physical play. Hudson laid out a monster hit in the ozone last night, and not long after that, Horvat got engaged in quite the physical fight. I think he got a real nice face punch in to one of the Worcester guys, and I don't think the Worcester player was really expecting it, but um, physical, engaged all the way around, which was great. And that first goal for Veerling was just a thing of beauty. It was a 2-on-1, Pedersen feeding Veerling and pops it in, and that's just some of that creativity and speed that you're going to see as you go. Um, Shots on goal after that first were about 10 apiece. And again, had to leave after that, but did listen on the radio a little bit. Of course, we get the 4-3 win there. So a lot to like just in that first period I was there. I think there was a lot of things to like. I like the speed. I like the offensive creativity. I love the fact they didn't get rattled out of the gate because that can, for a young team, that could really set you back. And yes, it's only a preseason game. We get that. But, you feel like if that's the kind of the culture you have in this team that they're going to be calm and they're just going to keep working, that's a really good sign for what you may have here with this Mariners team. So again, we'll see what happens tonight. If you do have a chance to go down to Worcester, it'd be worth a trip to go check them out. Of course, you can catch Michael Keeley and his radio telecast, um, or radio broadcast, I should say, out there tonight as well. I think that's a what did I say? Is that a 7 o'clock start tonight? I think it is. I think it is. Yeah, 7 o'clock tonight. So go check them out. All right. Moving on to the Boston Bruins. We're 2 games in, 6-4 results in both, 1-1 on the season. How in the world is everybody feeling about the Boston Bruins? Of course, after that game in Florida, the world was falling, everybody was jumping off cliffs, and it was just, you know, um, overreaction for sure. So much overreaction there. Um, let's talk about the net. Let's talk about goalies right now. Corpusello, yes, struggled in that first game. How much of it was on him? How much of it was on the team playing in front of him? You just look at some of those goals that were going in, just tap-ins right around the net, just layups. Really, from a basketball perspective, it's about the same thing. The defense, it was just awful, just absolutely awful in front of Corpusello. I don't put a lot of that loss on him. He made some saves early in that game to kind of keep you in it, and got plenty of work. I mean, he was busy all night. Uh, I think that could have been 8 or 9 to 4 had he not played as well as he did. Yeah, he wants to play better. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 that you can look at out of those 6 that he probably thinks I should have probably had that one. But this loss, I don't think is an indication of Corpo's play or um, what we're going to see from him this season. Swayman, of course, playing game 2. We get that win, of course, 6-4 over Montreal. Probably not his sharpest effort. Was fine, played fine. You wonder if it's just kicking off a little rust after really not being in camp, and believe you're going to see him later today against LA. He'll be fine. I'm really not worried at all. Again, I think early in that Montreal game, you saw, and when we talk about the defense, some of those same defensive mistakes you were seeing in Florida, just um, whether it was just losing your coverage or just just mental mistakes. You wonder about some of the pairings too, and it's something that Coach Montgomery changed a little bit in game 2, where he brought Zadorov back up to play with McAvoy, where I think Zadorov had been with Peak earlier. So you want to watch for that. How are they in their own zone, or yeah, in their own zone? Are they letting those backdoor plays continue to happen? Because it's been a problem. You saw it big time against Florida. You saw it early against Montreal. And you keep playing like that, keep playing soft defensively, it's just not going to go well. I don't care who you have. In that Florida game, you could have had Allmark and Swayman out there at the same time. Florida was going to get 6 by. I mean, that's just how bad they were. So Again, we're not jumping off the cliff here or anything. I do think it's a good defensive group, but they gotta dial it in. They've just gotta dial it in. They gotta be tougher. They gotta use that size and be smart with using that size. One thing I do want to mention that Mason Lowry didn't play game two, played game one. Really seemed to struggle. Really seemed to fight the puck quite a bit. Um, Young kid, we know there's a lot of expectations on him. Uh, so wonder if we'll see him today. Of course, you want to get him going. Being young, you're going to have to put up with some ups and downs here. I thought last year he really, improved from game to game, from shift to shift, and hopefully you'll see that. Now he's had a game to sit, and coach of course says, well, it's more about getting guys in, want to get Waterspoon into a game early. Um, but yeah, hopefully Lori sitting wakes him up a little bit. Say, hey, you gotta play better. You gotta be better with those details. You gotta be better in your own zone. We know you're a good offensive player, but you gotta tighten it up a little bit. The good news is that throughout that Montreal game, things really improved as you went on. Yeah, it did get to 5-4, but I thought they really tightened it up, and you're just going to need to. You've got LA, you've got Florida, and you got Colorado, and Utah's no slouch coming up. So you've got a tough, tough road ahead if you're the Boston Bruins. Early inventory on some of our new guys. What do we like so far? Starting with Elias Lindholm, 4 points in 2 games, 1 goal and 3 assists, and looks just like a seamless fit out there with that top line with Pasta and with Pavel Zacha. I think we're just scratching the surface of what that line's going to be. You've got Lindholm with the 4 points, Pasta's got a couple of goals. Zacha has, I think, at least 1 goal there in Florida. This should be a real good line all year. And early results here for Lindholm, absolutely great. Um, a name I probably didn't expect to be talking about, Mark Kastelik. 2 goals in that past game. Has a +3 on the year, 2 goals, no assists, of course, 2 points on the year. Um, Physical presence out there. It's really kind of handling that fourth line for us and looks like a Boston Bruin. Yes, I don't expect him to keep up that kind of scoring pace, but really good to see him. More of a scoring touch than I think most of us realized. Uh, Cole Kepke, also really good start for him. Has played in both games. Kind of has really earned his way into this lineup. Has 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points, and a +4. So he's really making it tough. Like, who are you taking out of this lineup? Kepke has played well enough, I think, to stay in and be on that fourth line. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it looks. But it's a good problem to have if you're Boston. A team that you've wondered, do you have enough forward depth? You got some of these guys that have looked good early. Riley Tufte did get into the last game. Not a ton to talk about. The one takeaway I have is he looks and plays big. I mean, he's 6'6", but he's a lot to handle out there, and I think he's a really good guy to bring in when you have those more physical type games. Um, Part of Boston's strategy this year. They want to get bigger. They want to get tougher. So you go out, you get Tufte. You go out and get Castellic. You go out and get Zadorov. You go out and get Max Jones. We'll talk about next. Played in game one. Didn't play game two. Really struggled in that game one. Haven't seen enough out of him. He didn't play a lot in the preseason, so I kind of would like to rack it up to that a little bit. Just not a lot of reps in the preseason. Was a little over aggressive, I'd say, in that Florida game. Took a couple stupid penalties, or at least one penalty that I can remember. Um, yeah, some more work to do there. Certainly not ready to give up on the guy just after one game, but and again, another kind of physical player. And yeah, we'll see when he can work his way back into that lineup. Uh, Matt Poitras, of course, haven't seen Matty Poitras yet. All indicators looks like he's going to play today. Looks like he's ready to go. Um, where does he fit in best? He's a natural center. Should we start him at wing? How does that look? For the team. Um, if you bring him into a wing position, it's a little less. For him to worry about. Playing center, you got so many different things you're thinking about. Put him in on a wing, maybe that third line spot. might be a good place to start him. Um, or you move Trent Frederick to a wing and move Matty in. Well, I guess we'll see. Knowing Monty, he's going to move him around. He's going to try different things. Um, I guess I don't have a huge opinion on it. I think as a young kid who didn't play a ton last year, just getting him acclimated to the league, maybe you just put him on the wing for now, take that pressure off of him. You've got other guys that can play that the center third line position for you. What I love about this team is you essentially have kind of two centers on each line. You go up top, you have Lindholm with Pavel Zacha, who was of course a center last year and can center. So if someone gets thrown out of the dot, you've got someone right there who has that experience. You go down to the second line, um, you've got Coyle with right now it's Geeky. Now Geeky struggled at the dot some, but he's came up as a center. So you got two guys there. Course, third line, you've got what looks to be Potter coming back, but Trent Frederick again started as a natural center, and then you go down to Castlewick with Johnny Beecher on the fourth line. So that's really good, solid center depth, and can really help in those key face-off positions. You can really play matchups well, and gives you just all sorts of flexibility and matchup opportunities if you're the coaching staff. So yeah, good problem to have, and something you didn't really feel like you had enough depth last year. I think that's really been resolved this season. And of course, last year this time, Potter and Beecher were just entering their first year. We didn't really know what we had in those players. You have a much better read as to those guys now. How are we feeling about the offense? A lot of questions about this offense coming into the season. Second line, wing position. Do they have enough scoring depth? What's it going to look like? Yes, I know we're only 2 games in, but 10 goals in 2 games, pretty darn good start, I would say. You've got 7 players already on the scoring sheet with a goal, and you're getting offense from the blue line. You're getting shots from the blue line. I love it. Something that we've been calling for forever, something that coach has been calling for forever. McAvoy with a goal in each game, and both he and Lindholm, 5 shots apiece. So if you can keep generating those opportunities from the dots, from that blue line, it's gonna go such a long ways for this team, even if you're taking shots and not going in, just getting rebounds, just getting that activity. We know that this team at times struggles with just simply getting shots on goal. We saw that against Florida in game one. We saw it last year in the playoffs, where you just didn't feel like shooting the puck. You're trying to, you kind of overpass it, looking for the perfect play. Sometimes, man, you just gotta rip it, get it in there. Let your forwards dig it out. Let them get those rebounds. And you've got some players here on the blue line that have some offense in their game. McAvoy has some offense. I think Lindholm has a lot more he can give you this year. And of course, Mason Lowry. We know he's got an offensive touch. So I'm really not too worried about this offense just yet. Yes, I do think we still have to figure out that second line a little bit. Is Geeky the right fit? Long term. I wouldn't mind seeing Trent Frederick get an opportunity up there. Move Geeky down to the third line, give Freddie a chance. I think he's kind of earned it. Um, and who knows, maybe a Justin Brazeau, gets the second line look. I know people say, well, Brazeau, he isn't he more of a third, fourth line guy, but he just surprises us, with his skill and for a big guy, how good he moves out there and the touch he has. Um, I think you'll see Monty try some different things. I think you will. I think you will. Last note here on the Bruins, earlier today was announced that defenseman Ian Mitchell has been waived. Uh, Looking to get him down to Providence. Of course, we'll have this 24-hour period where we'll see if he gets picked up. He's got some NHL um, games, of course, on his resume. I think it's a little too early in the year for other teams to be picking up, eighth or ninth type defenseman like this. But we'll see if he clears, see if he makes his way down to Providence. And if he does, of course, there could be a domino effect impact for the Maine Mariners, where maybe someone gets bumped down here to Maine, which we would certainly be happy with. So that's what we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you do like what you're hearing, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Helps out the channel a lot, helps me out a lot. Absolutely appreciate it. So enjoy all the hockey this weekend. I'll be back soon to break down all the happenings from around the hockey world here in our beautiful state of Maine. And until next time, be kind, show love, and God bless.